Back in 2007, we were introduced to the lovable rogue known as Nathan Drake. What came next has been a long and worthwhile thrill ride with each game that has come out in the Uncharted series. But sadly, all things must come to an end. The only question then becomes, do you go out in a blaze of glory, or simply fizzle out of existence never to be heard from again? Hey guys, Drak here, and today we're taking a look at Uncharted 4: A Thief's End to answer that exact same question, to see whether or not the ending was worth the journey it took to get there. So let's get started. Now, one of the benefits of the Uncharted games is that newcomers can come into any game and at least get a taste of what the series has to offer without having to know any of the backstory that came along the way. This game is no different, as it lands you right in the middle of Nathan Drake's latest adventure, which just so happens to have started in the past. We find Drake imprisoned in South America for, well, reasons, but then as he's taken to solitary for starting a fight, we then find out this is all part of his latest adventure, as he is let loose to investigate a nearby abandoned tower as long as he comes back with whatever he finds. When he does, we are then introduced to his brother Sam and let in on their search for the treasure of Henry Avery, an infamous pirate who supposedly accrued the greatest cache of wealth in all history. Sadly, after Drake's discovery, things go south very quick, and Sam meets with a grisly fate, which then leads us to modern days, as Drake leads a normal life with his wife Elena. But that itch for adventure never left Drake, and while he struggles to get used to his new life, who should happen to walk into his life again but Sam, but with bad news. It turns out Sam has been put in debt by the crime lord Hector Alcazar, and has been tasked with finding Avery's gold or die as payment for past debts. And with the stakes set, it's up to Drake to save his brother and claim the greatest treasure of a lifetime. Now to some, that may seem to be not much, but trust me, this game has way more in store for you than what I just mentioned, and is an action-packed thrill ride you don't want to miss out on. Now with the visuals, Uncharted has always been in the positive mark, and Thief's End is no exception. From minute one, this game looks gorgeous and only gets better from there as you discover vast jungles, snowy highlands, and a fair share of cave diving on your journey. Naughty Dog has once again proven their passion for Nathan Drake's adventures and has delivered a wonderful gem to the PS4 library. But like with most gems comes slight imperfections, and Thief's End does have a few graphical glitches that need to be fixed, but overall don't hurt the experience, which is a blessing in this day and age. To those who love dem graphics, you can't go wrong with Uncharted 4. So with the gameplay, it's pretty similar for Uncharted fans, but with some cool new twists, which we'll get to in a minute. For those who've never played the games, this should help explain it. Uncharted as a whole is a series of platforming third-person shooters. Yeah, I know it sounds confusing, but give me a sec to explain. While there are cutscenes and story segments, the gameplay is divided into two kinds of gameplay. One is platforming. As you might be trying to solve a puzzle or get to a certain area to reach your objective, you'll need to jump and climb to traverse the terrain to your goal. The second part of the gameplay is whenever opposition lies in your path to the goal. In those cases, you can either stealth or shoot your way through, but most of the time it will involve cover-style shooting similar to Gears of War or another Naughty Dog title, The Last of Us. Along the way you will encounter puzzles that don't require platforming, but even for non-puzzle game fans, these are easily explained. Now that the basic gameplay is explained, there are a few new tricks added to Thief's End. The first is the rope, which is used in a majority of the game to either swing from one platform to the other, or to latch onto objects to keep from falling to your death. The second addition is the pike for climbing, which allows for you to hang from certain walls, as some ledges may be further apart than you're used to. Similar to the new Tomb Raider reboot, which uses pickaxes instead of a single pike. Another great addition is Drake's Journal, which has been in previous games, but this version is much more interactive, as Drake will catalog everything you come across in your journey, and add it to the journal, as well as being used to help with some of the memory puzzles along the way. All in all, this gameplay, like the other games, flows very well into the narrative and is a wonderful storytelling device, as some puzzles will help move the story while you're still trying to solve them. For casual players and fans alike, this is an experience you won't want to miss this year. Now before we get to the audio, I have to say that I'm biased in this matter, simply because I love each of the soundtracks in Uncharted. So much so that I tend to play tracks from them whenever I feel the need to be inspired, and Thief's End is an awesome addition to this collection. Like with the other game's soundtracks, Thief's End has a few variations of recurring themes, like the main one for the series, but along with that its tone fits perfectly with the story and environments you come across in the game. And the music is just the tip of the iceberg, as we have an equally awesome voice cast to complement this journey as well. With returning actors like Nolan North reprising Nathan Drake, we also have new powerhouse additions to the cast, like Troy Baker who plays Sam Drake, and Laura Bailey playing Nadine Ross. The audio of Thief's End complements the game splendidly, and is as involving as the greatest of the Indiana Jones films, which Uncharted takes some inspiration from. Now gamers will appreciate this title, but non-gamers will also have a fun time just watching this game from start to finish. Now, replay value is pretty much set in stone for the Uncharted series, but in case you're a newcomer, let me explain a few options. Aside from the various difficulties in story mode you can complete with their respective achievements, there's also collectibles to be found along the journey. Some are easy, and some are harder to find. Another great aspect to this is completing Drake's journal, by getting all the documents and all the other stuff you may find to complete it for more achievements, as well as other dialogue to help flesh out the story. There's also a multiplayer mode which has received a few new improvements in this installment, like new maps, modes, and even features that haven't existed in previous games. Uncharted 4 allows for many things to do by yourself, or with your friends and family. So if you can't already tell my verdict on the presentation here, I don't know what to tell you aside from it's there in absolute spades. From awesome visuals to a great story and storytellers to amazing new features to add to the excitement, Thief's End is definitely a solid contender for Game of the Year in my book. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End was an absolute pleasure to sit through and an experience that I will treasure, which is why it receives my first ever 10 out of 10. And that's going to do it for my review of Uncharted 4. If you liked what I had to say, feel free to leave a like on this video and leave a comment and tell me what you thought about the game. Also, feel free to check out all the other content that I do on my channel, as I do so much more than just reviews. Like my podcast, Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, which records live every Saturday night at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we have just barely recorded an episode where we shared our thoughts on E3 2016. But in the meantime, I'm Drak, and I will see you for the next review.